Full-time expert fellow+team member Ye Xiu+summoner+technical direction, through the world of full-time expert, Ziyou, who possesses excellent gaming talent, enters glory. Isn't summoner a sewer profession? Why is this guy's summoner different from others? Stop talking, I was just knocked to death by him. This guy is not a summoner, he's just a barbarian. Ziyou, with his summoner profession, can truly capture the spirit and send generals in glory. Disclaimer. This book has nothing to do with being under one person. If you come in under one person, walk slowly and do not deliver it. Keywords of the novel. Full-time experts bound Spirit Dispatch without pop-ups, full-time experts bound Spirit Dispatch complete collection download TXT, full-time experts bound Spirit Dispatch latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Travel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 2. The Lost Glory Textbook. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The Lost Glory Textbook. Ziyou stared blankly at the dim screen, and he stood up to look across from him. At this moment, Guo was standing on the side, with a slightly chubby man wearing a black windbreaker sitting in his seat. Almost in an instant, Ziyou knew the identity of this person. The largest boss in the history of glory, the textbook of glory, the operator of the fighting god One Leaf Autumn, and the greatest hero of the 3 consecutive reigns of the Jiashi dynasty. Ye Xiu. 1. Guo exclaimed in surprise and turned to look up at Ziyou across from him. How long has it been used? 59 seconds, my hands are freezing stiff. Plus, this person has a bit of a cult, otherwise 30 seconds would be enough. Ye Xiu let out a sigh and rubbed his hands. 30 seconds. This person is a bit interesting, but he doesn't know how to play at all. Guo was even more surprised. He could tell at a glance that Ziyou was a newcomer. Isn't this person a professional athlete? Ziyou humorously turned off the computer and walked over, carefully examining the man in front of him. Ye Xiu. Your ID card. Xiao Lu walked over with Ye Xiu's ID card, and Guo's eyes lit up. He snatched Ye Xiu's ID card and saw the information on it, instantly disappointed. Mummy. Your ID card. Ye Xiu put his ID card back in his pocket and looked at Guo. Are you the landlady here? Yeah, what's wrong? Ye Xiu pointed to a web page and asked, I saw you looking for a network administrator here, and I think I can. How about that? Think about it, boss. Another person who wants to be a network administrator, sorry. I have already hired a network administrator today and there is currently no shortage of people. After Guo finished speaking, he turned around and was about to leave. Ziyou was shocked and quickly stopped her. Sister. You have thousands of machines here, and the business is so hot. A network administrator can't afford to take care of it, and these customers often have to soak in noodles and run errands, which makes them even busier. And I see that this person is so good at honor. If you can't win PK in the future, won't there be a free thug? I have seen that although normal ordinary experts can defeat me, they still need to start in at least 3 minutes. He cleaned me up in 59 seconds, and it looks like a ruthless person. Ziyou chattered a lot, and Guo fell into contemplation. Although she wasn't particularly bad here, having one more didn't matter. On the contrary, Ziyou gave Ye Xiu a scolding, which sparked her interest in him. Ye Xiu was also confused and looked at Ziyou quietly. He didn't know this person either. How could he help him speak? Shouldn't you be interested in him? If Ziyou knew Ye Xiu's thoughts, he could slap him to death. It's not impossible to accept you, but there's a prerequisite. What conditions? Guo smiled mischievously and pointed to Ziyou beside him, saying. Fight him one more time, use your own account. Gu Ziyou extended his hand and Ye Xiu politely grasped it. Hello, my name is Gu Ziyou, and I am the summoner you just 59 seconds KO. Ye Xiu was embarrassed when he heard that the player who had just roasted stood in front of him. Isn't that equivalent to slapping someone in the face? Sorry, I was actually exaggerating earlier. That. You're quite strong. It's okay, I just got to know honor today and I know my level. Oh. I only got to know honor today. Ye Xiu was somewhat shocked, like the multi-line operation that Gu Ziyou just used. Although it was rough, it was not something that ordinary people could operate. Surprisingly, such a high-end operation was used by a newcomer. How's it going? You won't be hesitant to fight a newcomer, will you? Gu Ziyou knew that Chen Guo was mainly trying to figure out the origin of this person. I can't beat him. Why? You're so strong. It's not difficult to win a newcomer, is it? Because I didn't have an account that could win against him. What level is your account and what equipment is it? Ye Xiu sighed and said. No level, no equipment. Chen Guo was even more surprised. This person must be an old hand and doesn't have an account card. My previous account card was gifted to someone. Gu Ziyou clearly felt that when Ye Xiu said these words, he felt a lot of despair, with a flash of helplessness and nostalgia in his eyes. Gu Ziyou also sighed, that's the account card that accompanied him for 10 years. To be precise, One Leaf Autumn is no longer just an account card, but a witness to his growth and the tumultuous years, a bond to Su Mucheng and Su Mucheng, and more importantly, his brother. Then you're also generous. Yeah, that's too generous. Isn't it generous? That's the god of dough, autumn of one leaf. Are you ready to go to the new district to play? Gu Ziyou suddenly approached and said, and Ye Xiu then turned his head to look at him, his eyes flickering. This is the newcomer of honor, and the new talent of a game is the source of its sustainable development. If a game is promoted by old players, then the game is not far from bankruptcy. New district. Yes. Tomorrow is Honor's 10th anniversary, and at midnight, it will be the opening of Honor's 10th district. Ye Xiu's memories go back to 10 years ago, the sunny figure and the outline of the unfinished artwork. Almost the next second, Ye Xiu took out an account card from his pocket and quickly clicked on a web page to apply for a transfer. First edition card. Chen Guo looked at the slightly worn card and asked. How long have you been playing Honor? It's been almost 10 years. Gu Ziyou clearly felt Chen Guo take a breath of cold air. Even a 10-year-old player still has the mood to go to the new area to cultivate land. How much I love this game. After the successful transfer, Ye Xiu withdrew his account card. Alright, I agree to you being the network administrator, but there are already many day shift network administrators. You can watch the night shift with Ziyou. Gu Ziyou smiled and waved his hand at Ye Xiu, who then smiled back. Boss, yeah. You two will start working tonight, little Pomelo. Take Ye Xiu to see where you live, tidy up yourselves, and I will buy you a late-night snack. After bidding farewell to Chen Guo, Ye Xiu followed Gu Ziyou to the second floor. Who taught you about multi-line control? Ye Xiu suddenly asked. Anyway, it wasn't Ye Xiu who taught me. Gu Ziyou looked at Ye Xiu, who was taken aback and looked at Gu Ziyou with a strange expression. Yeah, if it were taught by Ye Xiu, it wouldn't have been so bad. Gu Ziyou finally understood the extent of this old man's stinky fart, gave him a blank glance, and said. Before fighting you, I fought my sister a few times and I figured it out myself. Your sister? Is the landlady your sister? My sister. No, she looked at me pitifully and took me in. She recognized me as her younger brother, and I called her sister. Ye Xiu nodded and changed the topic, saying. It's not easy to learn this through self-study. That's not being cleaned up by textbooks in just 59 seconds. Ye Xiu smiled, although somewhat surprised in his heart, his face remained unchanged. How did you guess? It's a wild guess. The entire professional circle is about you not showing your face, and with your skills and name, everyone would guess in this way. After showcasing the elegance of the storage room to Ye Xiu, Ziyou began waving Ye Xiu with her fingers. In half an hour, the two of them sorted out the messy storage room neatly and reduced the dust a lot. The two beds were arranged on one side and the other on the other, and this would be their place of residence for a long time. If it were only Ye Xiu, he would definitely be too lazy to tidy up, no matter how dirty or messy he is, he would sleep. However, Ziyou has OCD, so he takes time to tidy up his little nest. What profession are you planning to play? During the meal, Ye Xiu asked, and the person who said this must be Ziyou. Summoner, I think it's quite interesting. Summoner's strength is not high, but the difficulty of operation is not low, which also leads to very few people playing summoners in the alliance, and not a single all-star. Ye Xiu kindly reminded him that he saw Ziyou's talent was very good and did not want him to play such a laborious and thankless profession. I know, why can't I become the only all-star? Ziyou grinned and said the craziest thing with the most innocent expression. Upon hearing Ziyou's words, Ye Xiu coughed twice and took the water handed over by Ziyou. After slowing down, he finally said. You have courage, I have confidence in you. Thank you for keeping an eye on it. Ye Xiu was a bit speechless. Why does this person always feel that sometimes their skin is thicker than theirs? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Detention of Spirit and Dispatch of Generals. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3, Detention of Spirit and Dispatch of Generals. During the meal, Chenghua had already prepared his account card. Ziyou, do you really want to play summoner? But this profession is really weak. Ziyou took a sip of cola and looked at Chenghua, wondering. But isn't playing games supposed to be something you enjoy and enjoy? Why consider career intensity? Upon hearing this, Chenghua was speechless, and Ye Xiu fell into contemplation. In the end, the two of them smiled very tacitly. Yeah, now everyone's thinking has become alienated, just playing games. Shouldn't happiness be the most important thing? Recalling the bits and pieces of 10 years of glory, Ye Xiu sighed helplessly. This is glory, isn't it? After speaking, he scrutinized Ziyou with a brand new gaze. The time quickly arrived at 11:50, and Ziyou and Ye Xiu sat down at the front desk. The front desk was large enough to accommodate 3 computers, 1 service machine, and the remaining 2 had just been replaced with the best configured computers. Ziyou touched the honor account card in her hand, revealing a long-awaited smile. Insert, log in. Please enter your nickname. Detain Spirit and Send Generals. Ye Xiu, sitting next to Ziyou, poked his head out. Is it a good idea to send a general to restrain the spirit? Of course, who am I? The first summon of the future alliance. Ye Xiu smacked his lips and gave Ziyou a thumbs up. The two had already added QQ before, and suddenly Ziyou received a message from Ye Xiu, which looked like a file. This is the beginner's village task guide. I have marked out the necessary tasks, please take a look first. Ziyou absolutely believes in Ye Xiu's advice on glory, this is a textbook for glory. Chenghua looked at the two people who had already been immersed in glory and let out a sigh, saying. I originally wanted to test your ability to stay up late, but I'm too tired. You two should supervise each other on your own. I'll go to bed first. Good night, boss lady. The two of them didn't even look up when they spoke. Chenghua was very angry and snorted back to the room to sleep. Ziyou carefully reviewed the document sent by Ye Xiu and wondered if it was due to time travel. Since time travel, his mental state has been exceptionally good, his thinking is extremely clear, and his memory is also amazing. For this document, Ziyou only remembered it after reading it twice. Ziyou rubbed her hands and stared at the still gray 10th area on the computer screen. 10. 9. In the internet cafe, I don't know where suddenly a loud shout sounded, and the people around me were not dissatisfied, but followed this person to start counting down. Influenced by the atmosphere, Ziyou also started counting down. Ye Xiu turned his head to look at Ziyou, his mouth curved upwards. 3. 2. 1. 0 at 0, the gray 10th area on the screen suddenly lit up, and Ziyou quickly clicked in. As soon as he entered the novice village, Ziyou was momentarily dumbfounded. The crowd that caught his eye was full of people, making it difficult to even take 2 steps forward. I finally know how the second zone was bombed. How many novice villages are there? Ye Xiu suddenly asked. Number 9. Oh. Coincidentally, I'm also on the 9th. Let's clear the task first. Ziyou nodded and controlled the restrained spirit to slowly move. Under the command of the big shots on the public channel, the novice village finally moved. After completing the task, it happened to be level 7 and obtained 340 skill points, but it took 2 hours. Hurry up and learn the skills. Come to Green Forest. Ye Xiu has completed the mission and is now waiting at the entrance of Green Forest. At present, the only summoner skills that can be learned are the level 1 floating skill Sting Vine and the level 5 skill Summoning Goblin. However, characters can learn skills from all professions before level 20. Summoners are proficient in wands, while elemental mages, priests, and sorcerers are also proficient in wands. Ziyou, according to his own understanding, learned some skills and then controlled the spirit-binding envoy to run towards the Green Forest. I said, will your friend still come or not? A player with a mid-month sleep on his head said to Ye Xiu. Don't worry, isn't this here? Jun Mo smiled and looked at the restrained spirit messenger running towards the distance. Are you trying to play summoner? Yes. Ziyou accepted Ye Xiu's team invitation while typing. You have ambition, are you a beginner? Yes. No wonder you choose a summoner and enter the main level. Ignoring the roast of Zhongmian, Ziyou looks at the skill introduction by himself. How to allocate hidden items. Ye Xiu lit a cigarette, and when Chen Guo was not around, old Ye's courage increased. Oh, you have great ideals. Roll up. Success. Ziyou remained silent and sent a QQ message to Ye Xiu. I have sleep problems this month. I have a plan in mind. After finishing speaking, Ziyou stopped speaking and manipulated the spirit summoner to use summoner skills to clear monsters. At the same time, when he had time, he cut out a browser to check the glory-related information. Your hand speed is very fast. Ye Xiu shook his cigarette ash and said. Just a few screen cuts, he found that Ziyou's hand speed was very fast, and more importantly, it was very stable, without accidental touch or other situations. Even his hand in the air hardly shook, which is not something that ordinary people can do. Here we go. Suddenly, a prompt sound came from the earphones, and Ziyou switched back to the screen. Watching the sudden appearance of the Dark Knight Cat Demon, there was no excitement at all. Don't laugh, just look for the right time to increase your health, and send General Sting Ting Goblin to casually release it. Your damage and hatred can't be chaotic. The sound of Zhongyue sleeping was loud, so Ziyou simply removed his earphones and casually threw out his skills. He knows that sleeping will cause trouble this month, and even with Ye Xiu, there is no situation where they cannot kill each other. As expected, Zhongyue Mian deliberately let go of the water, causing the hatred to dissipate and the other 2 teammates to die empty-blooded. Don't laugh at the treatment, June. Cannot add, will OT. No, hurry up. After killing the boss, equip yourself with the big head. Ye Xiu ignored him and allowed the claws of the Night Cat Demon to fall on Zhongyue Mian's body. Gu Ziyou simply stopped attacking. Detain the spirit and send the general. You output. How can you kill the boss if you don't output? Output. Your hatred is unstable. You know how to OT. Seeing Gu Ziyou throwing a sentence like this, Zhongyue Mian almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Ye Xiu also chuckled lightly and said, "You guy, your heart is quite dark. So, compared to you, Ye Xiu+, we are even worse off." During the middle of the month, the amount of sleep health gradually decreased, and in the end, he stopped pretending and roared. "You two, wait for me. Our lunar guild won't let you go." The night cat demon slapped it with its paw, and in the middle of the month, it fell asleep with empty blood. The hatred shifted to the soul detention general. Gu Ziyou just focused and his hand speed increased. Summon Goblin. On the top of Goblin, throw the stone in your hand and have a 20% chance of successfully stunning. Piercing vines floating in the sky. Under the control of the chain, enough time was given for the envoy to sing. Elemental Mage Level 5 Skill Flame Bomb. Level 5 Skill Frost Snowball. This series of operations shocked Ye Xiu. It didn't seem like a newcomer at all. The singing time control and calculation were just right, without wasting any output space. The night cat demon slapped twice, and the summoning object of Goblin had residual blood. In the moment when the third palm was struck, the novice white character wand in the hand of the Lingxi sent a green light, which was truly a healing technique. Ye Xiu+, if you don't show up again, I won't be able to show up on TV. Gu Ziyou joked. Why are you like those guys? Don't call me Ye Xiu+. Ye Xiu pretended to be angry, but his hand was not slow. He saw Yunxiu laughing at the 1,000-machine umbrella in his hand. The umbrella bone flipped upside down, and the entire umbrella turned into a spear. Looking at Yunxiu, who rushed up with a series of floating skills and connected them to output skills, Gu Ziyou felt quite envious in his heart. Is this Yinwu? Each has its own unique features, and there are no branches in Yinwu. If I follow the original work, will I have to wait until Jia Shi's RD team arrives at Xingxin to have my own silver weapon? That won't work. It's been too long. And only what you like is the most suitable for you. Umbrella brother, umbrella brother. Your work is too abnormal. Since Ye Xiu participated in the battlefield, Gu Ziyou has no need to focus on operations at all. Hatred is firmly hanging on Jun Maxiao's body, and restraining the spirit and sending generals only requires repairing damage on the side. It was very easy for the two of them to take down the night cat demon, and the server suddenly rang a system announcement. Congratulations to players, Yunxiu and Ling Sun Jiang, for winning the first kill of the night cat demon in Zone 10. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Sorrow of Summoners. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Sorrow of Summoners. Do you need a skill book? Although it was a question, Ye Xiu quickly clicked to pick it up. He doesn't have Wei Chen's skill book guide now, and every skill point is something that can be encountered but not sought after. Although individual skills don't require high skill points, why do they have so many skills? 120 skills need to be fully learned and upgraded. 4,000 skill points are definitely not enough. Are you giving me a choice? Pick it up, it's not easy to be alone. Oh. Do you still know about scattered people? Well, I learned about honor this afternoon. I know the basic information. Ye Xiu had just finished smoking a cigarette and stuffed the cigarette end into the finished cola can, looking at Gu Ziyou. Did you also figure out your own set of operations just now? Gu Ziyou nodded and clicked to exit the dungeon. Oh, genius. I also know a genius. Who is it? His name is Mucheng, and he is no longer here due to an accident. Gu Ziyou naturally knew the name of the famous umbrella brother. The Chia of One Leaf Autumn, the swallowing of the sun in the rain and orange wind, and the 1,000-machine umbrella in Jun Mo Zhao's hand were all the works of this master. In Ye Xiu+'s words, if Su Mucheng were still here, the league would collapse because there was no suspense in the game and Ye Xiu had been winning consecutive championships. Enough to show Umbrella's gaming talent and Silver Martial Arts production talent. We mourn for the loss. Ziyou cast a caring gaze, and Ye Xiu smiled as he looked at Qianji Umbrella and said, I'm not just relying on not leaving. Once I perfect this artwork and win a championship trophy with it, I'll wisely go home and inherit the family property. It seems that Ye Xiu saw the shadow of Su Mucheng on Ziyou. At this moment, he didn't shy away and openly said he would go home and inherit the family property. Ziyou didn't believe what this guy was saying. A guy who has been playing with glory for 10 years, he said he gave up glory. He didn't believe it. Isn't there still me here? I'll give you the first call of the league in the future, to win a championship or something, it's simple. Ziyou comforted and said. Ye Xiu grabbed the cola next to him and drank it, then spat out a cigarette butt from his mouth and let out a few curses. Ziyou was speechless, pondering in his heart, and said. Ye is not shy, you can play by yourself. I want to practice on my own. Oh. Why do you want to practice on your own with me, a giant? Because of you, there is no risk. How can I improve? And even though you are called the honor textbook, do you really know summoners that well? I think you can figure out a way out on your own. Ziyou's gaze was firm, and in fact, what he said was also true. When it comes to which of the 24 professions Ye Xiu is least familiar with and least willing to face. That must be a summoner, because the summoner's combat power is mainly concentrated on the summoned object, and the uncontrollability is too high. Although Ye Xiu can still use summoners to abuse Ziyou's life and make him unable to take care of himself, that is not what Ziyou wants. Okay, but I still recommend that you learn about other professions' skills while practicing. You need to know these basic information on the professional arena in the future. Upon hearing this, Ziyou smiled and nodded, indicating that Ye Xiu had truly accepted him. In this way, Ziyou gave up the opportunity to kill the Spider Lord first and decided to carefully explore it himself. Green's Forest supports single-player scrolling and doesn't necessarily have to team up, let alone the fact that the channels are now all mid-month scrolling. Jun Mo Xiao, Detain Spirit and Sen General, two shameless individuals, in order to monopolize the boss, intentionally do not heal or output. This leads to the death of their teammates. Everyone must be careful. Beware of these two people. So now no one dares to form a group at all, and he is manipulating the spirit of detention to re-enter the Green Forest. The weakness of summoners is that their own strength is too weak and their operability is too low. If they are approached by assassins, ninjas, and thieves, there is no room for resistance. Moreover, even summoners have low numerical values and are easily taken away by the opponent's fire, and their operability is also very low. What's even more outrageous is that before level 25, only goblins, a chicken-like summoner, can be used. In addition, there are some skills to control or enhance summoners. Ziyou manipulated the Lingzhua general to brush monsters, and a silhouette gradually emerged in his mind. Even if I can't use skills from other professions after changing jobs, it's always possible to level A, right? So what can I do to achieve high damage from level A when holding a staff? Accidentally, Ziyou was hit by the elite goblin in front of him with a giant hammer, and quickly stabbed a vine to fly, adding a healing spell to himself. Hammer. Yes, if I could make a staff in other weapon forms or a staff that can transform like a 1,000-machine umbrella, could I change the attack mode? Looking at the hammer in Goblin's hand in front of him, Ziyou shook his head and fired a flamethrower, killing him. The hammer should be a knight's weapon. Its attack speed is too slow. If I can't use my skills, I won't gain much. After clearing the dungeon again, the spirit of detention sent him to level 8 and above. Spider Cave is a level 10 dungeon, so at this moment, Ye Xiu is also leveling up, but his efficiency is much faster than Ziyou, and he has already reached level 9 in over half. Entering Green Forest again, Ziyou's CPU is almost burning at this moment. I kept thinking in my mind about the route I would take in the future. At this moment, Ziyou suddenly felt someone patting her shoulder and turned to look at Ye Xiu. Don't be too impatient, honor is not as simple as you think. If you have only been exposed to honor for a day and can figure out the path you need to take, then this game is too boring. Upon hearing this, Ziyou breathed a long sigh of relief and said helplessly. I'm just about to reach the layer I want, but the equipment editor mechanism of this game is too difficult. Ye Xiu shook off his cigarette butt in his hand. This time, he was not intentional, but shocked. After only being exposed to games for half a day, Ziyou thought of an equipment editor. Perhaps this is because Ziyou had a big heart, but with just a few hours of Ye Xiu's understanding of Ziyou, what Ziyou just said caught a hint of inspiration. It doesn't seem like it's fake. Do you want to become a silver warrior? I have an idea. Although Ye Xiu had been talking to Ziyou all along, his movements were not slow at all. Ziyou saw that Junmo Shao had already risen to level 10. What idea? Ye Xiu smiled and controlled Junmo Shao to walk towards the spider cave. The weakness of summoners lies in their weak combat ability, low individual value of summoned items, high difficulty in group control, but low profits, and the inability of summoners to obtain safe operating space. Ye Xiu nodded, understanding the most basic advantages and disadvantages of a profession so thoroughly in such a short period of time. Even if it was found online, Ziyou could be considered a type of person with extremely clear thinking and logic. So what do you want to do? Silver weapon is the turning point at the root of everything. If I can make silver weapon possess both increased summoning items and summoners' combat abilities, these problems will be solved easily. Upon hearing this idea, Ye Xiu couldn't help but sigh. How bold! A newborn calf is not afraid of tigers. Do you know how difficult it is to make such a silver weapon? Not to mention the legendary ability to gain combat ability, just increasing the summoning items. All the summoners' silver weapons in the entire alliance have not been able to achieve it. Ziyou was lost in thought, seeming somewhat lost. After a pause, Ye Xiu continued. Moreover, it is rare for someone to operate 3 or more summoning objects simultaneously on a professional field. Now, if you add the summoner himself, with only brain calculations, layout thinking, 4 or more character health bars, blue bars, attack and defense, skill characteristics, and other calculations, can your brain bear it? This is not that Ye Xiu deliberately attacked Ziyou. The fact is, the core of summoners' combat is summoning objects, and the skill of multi-line manipulation is already difficult. If summoner is added, the difficulty of thinking and operation will increase exponentially. You should know that if summoner dies, no matter how many summoning objects there are on stage, it will be useless. Ye Xiu kept tapping his fingers, and Junmo Shao entered a team before entering the spider cave. The idea is good, but it must not be divorced from reality. Ziyou sat heavily back in his chair, watching Ye Xiu's constantly changing form of the 1,000-machine umbrella. This feeling was like the old Taoist made you believe in science, then took out a flying sword and flew away. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Opportunities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Opportunities. However, Ye Xiu's words caught Ziyou's attention. Indeed, without Brother Umbrella, who would have known that honor would still have weapons like Qianji Umbrella that could transform? Entering the dungeon again, Ziyou put aside his thoughts on silver martial arts and devoted himself wholeheartedly to familiarizing himself with the operation. About 20 minutes later, a system announcement appeared in front of Ziyou. Congratulations to Zhongyue Mian, Tianqi, Mucheng, Shalou Xingli, and Junmo Shao for winning the first kill in the 10th spider cave. Just glancing at it, Gu Ziyou cast his consciousness back into the dungeon. During this period, Gu Ziyou deliberately only used the summoner's skills, combined with general skills such as sprinting and rolling, and was able to dodge some goblin attacks. It has to be said that Gu Ziyou's character is very good, and I don't know if it's because he did many good things in his original body. He once again encountered the hidden boss of Green Forest, the Night Cat Demon. The huge body of the Night Cat Demon crawled out of the forest and was instantly attracted by the Spirit Dispatch General. It rushed forward with an arrow step, intending to strike the Spirit Dispatch General with its claws. With a wave of the staff in his hand, Su Ling successfully chanted, "Thorny Vine." A huge vine emerged from the ground, like a sharp sword, piercing fiercely into the belly of the Night Cat Demon and pushing it up. The resilience of the boss is very high, and the control effect is reduced by half. The restraining spirit sends the general to take the opportunity to take 2 steps back and widen the safe distance. Suddenly, a magic formation lit up, and a goblin dumbfounded, holding up a stone, rushed towards the Night Cat Demon. Due to the limited number of summoning objects in the early stage, Gu Ziyou raised the skill level of summoning goblin to a very high level, several levels higher than when he first played the Night Cat Demon dungeon. Flame Bomb. Bang. Although summoners may not have strong PK abilities, brushing dungeons is the most stable choice. Summoning items on top provides the safest output space for others. Although it may not be as fast as the current, why is it safe? Just like at this moment, on top of Goblin, although he still couldn't hold the claws of the Night Cat Demon, Gu Ziyou's treatment could increase Goblin's health, increase his tankiness, and in addition, Goblin's throwing of stones had a chance of causing dizziness, providing fault tolerance. The low-level skill CDs are not long, although there have been several instances where the soul-trapping commander was almost killed. Gu Ziyou's operation prevented the death of the soul-trapping commander. The last sorcerer's level 5 skill, Curse Arrow, ended the Night Cat Demon. Gu Ziyou manipulates the spirit-binding envoy to come forward and pick up the dropped object. Level 5 Blue Character Cloth Armor, Level 5 Blue Character Boots, Skill Book, Night Cat Eye Stone X2, Night Cat Nails X4, some coins. Gu Ziyou turned his head and saw Ye Xiu speaking and directing with headphones on. Without disturbing him, he put on his level 5 blue leather cloth armor and boots, used his skill book, and continued to brush the green forest. Finally, after Ye Xiu took the first kill of the hidden boss Spider Lord, Gu Ziyou rose to level 10 and returned to the novice village. Is it level 10? So fast. Ye Xiu poked his head and Gu Ziyou nodded, saying, "Killed a dark Night Cat Demon. Do you want a cat's eye stone and cat nails? Are all the materials yours? What's the use of rolling some materials?" Ye Xiu smiled and said, "Cut, how could it be possible to roll up a bit? Is it okay for me to single brush? I believe you're a ghost. You need to be able to." Before he could finish speaking, Ye Xiu swallowed it back. In fact, it is very common for summoners to single swipe dungeons, but it will take a long time. However, with Gu Ziyou's skills, it is basically impossible to single swipe. But Gu Ziyou pointed out the dungeon history record, which clearly showed that except for the one he fought with, the rest were all single swipes. Progress is fast. Keep going. After handing over the materials required by Ye Xiu to him, Gu Ziyou learned some skills in the beginner's village and was about to embark on a new dungeon journey when he saw someone coming online. Ye Xiu is currently in the dungeon, so only Gu Ziyou can get on the machine. Only then did Gu Ziyou realize that it was already around 4 a.m. and close to 5 a.m. After sitting for 7 or 8 hours in a row, she wanted to get up and participate in activities. After boarding the plane for the new guests, she walked out of the internet cafe door. At 5 o'clock in the morning, there were basically no people on the street, only cars speeding by from time to time. Gu Ziyou stood at the door, moving his hands on his hips for a while, admiring the city of H at 5 a.m., with snowflakes still falling. Suddenly, a white light flashed by. Gu Ziyou looked around and saw a janitor hunched down, sweeping the snow on the street. The clothes of the cleaners have reflective strips, and any slight light shining on them will brighten up, appearing as if they are glowing. Gu Ziyou didn't want to go up and help him. He could help once but couldn't help every time. This is his job and a way to realize his value. However, the broom in the hand of the cleaner caught Gu Ziyou's attention. The broom was very thick. After all, 2 thin brooms could easily break when sweeping the floor. The broomstick is made of bamboo, very long, and the person's movements are very exaggerated when using it. As if tired from sweeping, the person reached out and pulled out a towel from the hole at the end of the broomstick, starting to wipe sweat. This action was very ordinary, and many people chose to do it, but Gu Ziyou's mind stirred up a huge wave. Stick. The ancestor of 100 soldiers. The stick, known as the ancestor of 100 soldiers, whether practicing swords, spears, swords, or halberds, starts with a long stick and a short stick, so the plasticity of the stick is very high. Isn't the main body of the staff also a stick? In this case, a stick-shaped staff can also be made. Moreover, Ye Xiu+'s umbrella can hide the universe. Why can't I hide something inside my stick? Thinking of this, Gu Ziyou was very excited. He quickly ran back to the bar and sat down. Under Ye Xiu's strange gaze, he opened the web page and searched for the tutorial on using the equipment editor. Now, Gu Ziyou didn't even raise his level, so he decided to exit the game and focus his energy on the equipment editor. Seeing this, Ye Xiu shook his head and rubbed something with his left hand. The next day at noon, Xiaolu had already arrived and was sitting at the service desk watching TV. Little Pomelo. You don't want your life anymore. Get out and go to sleep. And you're so old, can you take care of your body? Chenghua slept until noon and found that Gu Ziyou and his wife were still sitting at the front desk, feeling a bit angry. Sister, I'll go to bed right away. Gu Ziyou clicked on the mouse, saved the folder, received the card, and prepared to leave. Ziyou, why don't I help you level up? I have nothing to do anyway. Xiaolu looked at Gu Ziyou and learned during dinner last night that Gu Ziyou also wanted to play summoner. Although Xiaolu had only been with honor for 2 years, he was at least an old hand. Gu Ziyou's eyes lit up and he was quite grateful. There were cameras all over here, and he was not afraid of Xiaolu stealing his account card. Moreover, there was nothing in his account card, so stealing it was meaningless. Then please trouble Sister Lu, I'll treat you to dinner when I get rich in the future. Handing the Detention Spirit Dispatch General to Xiaolu, Gu Ziyou made a hash and patted Ye Xiu's shoulder, then returned to the storage room and fell asleep. Gu Ziyou had someone to help him level up, but Ye Xiu couldn't envy him. After all, Jun Maxiao is a scattered person, and the value of 1,000 machine umbrella is immeasurable. If it were stolen, although it was only level 5, it would not be easy to redo and it would be very heartbreaking. Ye Xiu didn't go to the storage room to sleep immediately, but left Xingxin Network Club and found a direction to walk. When Gu Ziyou woke up, it was already 8 p.m. and Ye Xiu was no longer in bed. After washing up, Gu Ziyou went downstairs. Although mentally prepared, Gu Ziyou couldn't help but be surprised when she saw the scene at the internet cafe. In the pitch-black internet cafe, only a huge screen lit up, constantly playing news about Ye Xiu's retirement, while the people around occasionally sobbed, with no other sound. Walking to the door, Gu Ziyou encountered a famous scene. Boss, are you crying? You beast, do you feel anything at all? Too much, can't we hold on and escape? Get lost. Do you have any paper? Ye Xiu's voice paused before saying, is the cigarette pack okay? If it weren't for Gu Ziyou seeing it with his own eyes, I wouldn't have thought that someone's emotional intelligence could be so low. Is a cigarette pack okay? How did you say that out loud? I'll go get it. Ye Xiu turned around and met Gu Ziyou who was watching the show. Gu Ziyou raised the tissue in his hand and handed it to Chenghua. Mummy, sister, don't be sad. That old guy Ye Xiu has been fighting for 10 years, so he definitely didn't just quit. Maybe he'll come back next year. Chen took the tissue, wiped away his tears, and spoke in a gentler tone, saying, because he has been playing for 10 years, he is already 25 years old, and next year he will be 26 years old. Damn it. I've watched Ye Xiu's recent matches and that old guy is in good form, not losing to Zhouzikai. It's just that there's a problem with the team. Besides, isn't Mucheng still here? Upon hearing this, Chen seemed to immediately close the break and stop tears. Yeah, Mucheng is still here, hee, my Mucheng, hee, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Imagination of Yinwu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Imagination of Yinwu. I don't know if Chen didn't want them to worry, so he grabbed a tissue and returned to the internet cafe. Yibu shyness, you're out of favor. I see you. Go find Sister Mucheng and ask for her autograph more often, and give it to my sister as a gift. It's more useful than giving you that precious cigarette box. Maybe you can even get a raise. Ziyou raised an eyebrow and got up to walk into the internet cafe. Standing in place, Ye Xiu looked up at the Jiashi building across from him. Ziyou, your account card. Xiao Lu has no feelings for Ye Xiu's retirement. She is not a fan of Jiashi, but simply likes honor. Seeing Ziyou walking in, he handed back the Detention Spirit Dispatch General to Ziyou. Thank you, Sister Lu. What level is it? Ziyou took the account card and turned into the bar. Level 17. So fast. How did you get promoted? Just keep scrolling through Spider Cave. I found a fixed team and spent 5 or 6 hours scrolling. You need to work hard. Now the first team has reached level 22. Ziyou nodded and Xiao Lu finished picking up his things before leaving work. Ziyou did not open Honor, but clicked on a folder in the corner of the desktop, clicked on the web page, and continued to learn about the equipment editor. Mummy. Ziyou saw Ye Xiu sitting next to him in the afterglow and handing over a notebook. Looking up, this notebook should have been around for some time now, with some yellowing and wrinkled hair. What is this? My friend, if you want to become a silver warrior, it should be useful. The information here should be valuable, right? Is that all you gave me? We've only known each other for 2 days, haven't we? Ye Xiu placed his notebook in front of Ziyou, took out a cigarette, and was about to light it when he reached out with one hand and pulled out the cigarette from Ye Xiu's mouth. Smoking is not allowed at the front desk before 12 o'clock. After that, no cigarette ash or cigarette butts are allowed to be left behind. Helpless, Ye Xiu had no choice but to put the cigarette box in his pocket and nodded to Chen to please him before continuing. Feel it. Feeling. The feeling you give me is very similar to Mucheng. Ziyou was very surprised and took a sip of cola. What's similar? The talent for game operation, the bold and bizarre understanding of the game, the obsession with equipment production, and the love and sunshine for life. And most importantly. Ye Xiu paused and continued to speak. You both look handsome, but you're just a little behind me. Automatically ignoring the last sentence, Ziyou reached out to take Mucheng's notes and flipped through them. Is Qianji umbrella his work? Ziyou pretended to question. Yes. It seems that your relationship is really good. He's getting old and wants to help him fulfill his unfinished wish. Fuck you. I'll let you take care of your current abusive life with just one hand, okay? Gently closing the notebook, Ziyou turned to look at Ye Xiu. You also said that it's not necessarily possible to abuse me now or in the future. Looking at Ziyou's firm gaze, Ye Xiu surprisingly did not refute this time. His mouth curved upwards and he said. So let's wait and see. For eyes facing each other, showing a smile. You two are so disgusting, you're talking nonsense. Chen Guo walked over and sat in the position of the service machine, looking contemptuous. Seeing Chen Guo, Gu Ziyou's eyes lit up. Sister, do you have a lot of materials on your Yunxiu account? Yeah, what's wrong? They're all scattered materials I got, and it's useless for me to use them. Can you give it to me to practice my hands? Upon hearing this, Chen Guo looked at Gu Ziyou in confusion. Seeing Chen Guo not speaking, Gu Ziyou immediately said. During the loan period, I'll listen to you for everything. Listen to me for everything. Chen Guo gave a wicked smile, and although Gu Ziyou felt the chrysanthemums tighten, he still nodded. Okay, could you help me brush the arena win rate from time to time? After speaking, Chen Guo took out his account card from his pocket and handed it to Gu Ziyou. Gu Ziyou flipped through Su Muchio's notes while taking a pen and writing on the picture in Chen Guo's sponsored notebook. So it turns out. The 1000-machine umbrella heavily utilizes the inspiration of gunners' handguns and mechanics' rifle equipment, so it can achieve a highly technological change in form. As for installing a sword in the middle of the umbrella shaft, the principle is surprisingly simple. Gu Ziyou's brain was rapidly spinning, imagining many possible weapon models. The umbrella surface opens up to form a shield, the umbrella bone flips upside down to form a spear, the umbrella bone folds to form a sickle, the umbrella head deforms into the muzzle, the umbrella surface folds up to form a large sword, and the umbrella shaft is pulled out with a ninja knife. All changes are built on the umbrella, and the magnitude of the changes is not significant. If a stick is turned into a handgun, as long as the inside of the stick is precise enough, it can also be achieved in principle, but this amount of work. The main stick cannot be very thick, at most it can only be slightly thicker than the magic stick. If we can make every centimeter of the stick structure as exquisite and changeable as a whole 1000-machine umbrella, it may not be impossible to turn a thin stick into a bulky handgun or sword. Gu Ziyou took a deep breath, logged into chasing smoke and mist, returned to the city, ran to the warehouse, stored the excess equipment in his backpack, and took out miscellaneous materials. Although they were not rare materials, they were enough for practicing. However, is this reasonable? How much can a stick hold inside? It can't hold much at all. Open the equipment editor, and Gu Ziyou tried to calm down as much as possible. He kept dragging the materials to the preparation bar of the editor. Wood. It can't be wood. Wood cannot be broken down to pieces, it can only be metal, so the basic weight is much heavier than that of a staff tie. Following the mechanism of the 1000-machine umbrella pole, the metal is continuously polished and assembled. This process is not fast, but it is definitely not slow. At least several times faster than when Ye Xiu was doing silver martial arts himself. Ye Xiu accidentally turned his head to look over, his pupils contracting rapidly, and even his hand movements were delayed for a few seconds. Gu Ziyou's breathing slowed down a lot and also became much lighter. It took an hour, and after Gu Ziyou pieced the two parts together, Gu Ziyou let out a heavy breath and the whole stick lit up with a silver light. Level 5 type. Staff weight 3.5 kilograms, attack speed 3, physical attack 50, spell attack 50, garbage. Garbage in the garbage. Gu Ziyou remained expressionless and entered a name in the question mark. Experiment 1. The attributes of the entire staff are very low, basically at the level of a level 5 white character weapon, or even lower, and the weight is much heavier than a regular staff. Compared to Qianji Umbrella's dual attack of 180 and attack speed of 5, the difference is too much. Did you make it? Ye Xiu asked. Gu Ziyou shook his head. There's still a long way to go, I'm just trying out the equipment editor. The material quality and design are both inferior. Just take a look at this. Gu Ziyou asks Yunxiu to equip Experiment 1, rotate the perspective, and align it with the weapon in her hand. The left hand clicked twice on the keyboard, and the next second. 1/3 of the section of test item 1 twisted, accompanied by a miso sound, and a thin sword was drawn out from it. Is this the principle of hiding swords in the umbrella shaft of Qianji umbrella? Yes, it's just quite rough. Be good, I have been playing Glory for 10 years, and the number of shocks in these 2 days is almost equal to all the previous combined numbers. Ziyou tilted his mouth and raised an eyebrow at Ye Xiu. If I come up with the idea in my mind, will you have to suck in the air conditioning and let the temperature in H city rise by 10.8 degrees? I'll take my pride, you geniuses are really enviable. When it comes to genius, Ye Xiu undoubtedly needs to occupy a position, but at this moment he is talking about the production of silver weapons. Seeing that Ziyou was going to reinvest himself in equipment production, Ye Xiu kindly reminded him. Silver equipment research is not something that can be done in a day or two. I admit that you have a high talent in this area, but I hope you can plan reasonably and not neglect operations. Operations are the fundamental, equipment is just icing on the cake. I understand. I will work on more materials. If we wait until we reach the realm of gods to start making research, it will be too late. Ziyou couldn't help but sigh. Yiwu was used as a teammate and indeed reliable. Of course, if Yi is not shy on the opposite side, there are only 2 words. Disgusting. Before Chenguo went to sleep, Ziyou shamelessly handed over the soul-binding dispatch general to Chenguo to help him level up. After all, summoners did not require high operation requirements for dungeons. After Chenguo went to sleep, Ziyou threw himself into the long march path of leveling up and practicing operations. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Return to the origin flow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Return to the origin flow. Do you need 13 strong spider silk? Ziyou rushed to Ye Xiu and asked, there is no need for powerful spider silk. Oh. 13 of them, okay, give them to me later. The more you have, the better. It's great to have teammates. The Dark Knight Cat even brushed 4 of my nails at once. What kind of character are you? I firmly believe that as long as you don't have malicious behavior and persist in doing good deeds, you can have good character. Ye Xiu pursed his lips and said. I would rather not have this character. After a while, Ye Xiu stared at the computer screen and suddenly smiled. What are you laughing at? Isn't the material here? The Blue Creek Pavilion has come to me to brush dungeons, maybe you want to try my depth. Ziyou called up the friend panel and looked at Jun Maxiao's level, which was already at level 20. My restrained spirit sent general is at level 19, and this is still a result of 3 people working together, basically achieving uninterrupted results 24 hours a day. I just read the guide. The hidden boss of Frost Forest, White Witch, explodes White Witch's tears. Can you help me with a few? Ziyou showed a harmless smile. Okay, I'll try my best. Anyway, there's a big culprit. Ziyou first apologized to Blue River Little Cute in her heart, and then calmly scrolled through the dungeon. Congratulations to players Blue River, Thundering Electric Light, Jun Mo Xiao, Yun Gui, and Ziyou Cheng on breaking the record for completing the Frost Forest dungeon, with a time of 20 minutes and 24.11 seconds. The first kill of Lanxi Pavilion was as expected by Ziyou. Not long after the Yunxiu general was promoted to level 20, when he returned to the novice village, Ye Xiu sent a trading application, which was filled with tears from 2 white witches. Can you switch jobs now? You have to think carefully. Once you switch jobs, there's no room for turning back. Just as Ye Xiu finished speaking, he saw a flash of light on the body of the general of the Spirit of Detention. He had successfully transferred his position, reset his skill points, and all the skills of other professions had disappeared. Ye Xiu shrugged his shoulders, but the smile at the corner of his mouth became even stronger. For those who are pure in glory, he doesn't even consider the intensity of their profession. Suddenly, the sound of QQ messages rang from Ye Xiu's computer, and upon opening it, it turned out to be from Ziyou. What can't be said directly? Clicking on the message, a lengthy list of materials caught Ye Xiu's eye. I'm going, you're robbing me. 24 dark crystals, 24 light crystals. How many times do I have to brush the dark forest and the light forest with this? 8 hot melt metals, 2 repeaters from inventor Jerome. What's all this about? Are you just sharing the rain and dew in the 4 major forests? Gu Zi pondered on how to deal with Yi Bushi, an old stubborn person. No way. With so many things you've sold me, I can't even get them. Besides, these materials are getting more expensive one by one, much more luxurious than my 1,000-machine umbrella. Can you guarantee that you? Before he could finish speaking, Gu Ziyou blocked Ye Xiu back with just one sentence. I'll help you improve the 1,000-machine umbrella. Upon hearing this, Ye Xiu fell silent. Let's talk about making silver weapons. Although he knows how to do it, he is not proficient at all. He has no idea whether the 1,000-machine umbrella after level 50 can continue to be improved. However, Gu Ziyou has already demonstrated excellent equipment development talent in just 2 days, which at least Ye Xiu feels inferior to. Compared to them, these materials are really drizzling. Deal. Gu Ziyou couldn't help but once again lament at the relationship between Yi Bushiness and Su Mucheng is really dry and crumbling. This describes. What genre are you planning to play? Elf Flow, Death Knight Flow, or 4-Beast Flow? These 3 are currently the mainstream summoner schools. As the name suggests, Elf Flow is a main school that is based on elves with attributes such as thunder, fire, and ice, and centers around the fusion of multiple elves to form the Elf King. The advantage is that the Elf King has high attribute values, but the disadvantage is that the summoning conditions of the Elf King are strict, requiring fusion based on small elves. Moreover, elf attacks are all spell attacks, which are relatively single and easy to target. The Death Knight flow is mainly based on the level 35 summoning item Death Knight, supplemented by other summoning items. It relies on the high health protection of Death Knight to provide output space for other summoning items. However, this genre is not strong in PK. Once the opponent's level of operation is too high, bypassing the Death Knight and pointing directly at the summoner can easily lead to a breakdown. Therefore, this genre is mainly used for PvE dungeons. The 4-beast flow refers to the 4 summoning beasts, Ice Wolf, Spirit Cat, Little Flying Dragon, and Thunder Eagle, each with their own camp. The difficulty of operation is usually high, but the advantages are also obvious. The 4 summoning beasts do not have time, so prolonged battles or team battles on large maps are very advantageous, and preparations can be made in advance. Previously, Gu Ziyou believed that his best choice was definitely the 4-beast flow, which had its own characteristics in multi-line operations and dual attacks with both physical and magical abilities, making it difficult to defend against. But now he has an idea for silver martial arts, and he thinks that the summoner profession can have another way of playing. Gu Ziyou looked at Ye Xiu and said calmly. Let's just return to the Yuanlu. Guiyuan flow. Is this a new rural school? Ye Xiu was surprised. Is his honor textbook fake? Why has he never heard of this genre before? If it were strong, someone would have used it on the professional field long ago, right? You don't have to doubt yourself, the name is what I just thought of. Oh. The genre you created yourself. What's the point? Gu Ziyou smiled mysteriously and pointed to the empty equipment editor, then spoke up. Taking the summoner itself as the center, more precisely, summoning beasts and summoners are each at the center. Surrounding the center, returning to the center is called returning to the original state. Upon hearing this, Ye Xiu remembered the idea that Gu Ziyou had previously proposed to him, which was to enable summoners to have independent combat capabilities and to increase the strength of summoning beasts. He couldn't help but re-examine Gu Ziyou. At this moment, in his eyes, the 2 figures seemed to overlap slightly. Ye Xiu, I made 1,000 machine umbrella that can be transformed into weapons for different professions, each with its own emphasis, so that I can use 24 different professions skills. The boy was very excited and ran to Ye Xiu, who was playing with the computer, holding the blueprint. So, can we play solo? Using 120 different skills at the same time. Yeah, so you can hold 1,000 machine umbrella and gallop on the field, truly lying drunk on the battlefield. Don't laugh. Mucheng. You are really a genius. The appearance of the upper limit of level 55 makes it impossible for individual players to level up, and with the scattered glass fragments on the roadside, everything is destroyed in an instant. The 1,000 machine umbrella can only be stored continuously in the equipment editor. How confident are you? Ye Xiu's expression was dim, with a hint of sadness on his face. Ziyou sensed something without comfort, just answering his question. At present, only 50% is based on sufficient materials. 50%. That's already quite high. After speaking, Ye Xiu leaned back and looked at the bright sky outside the door. He lit a cigarette and quietly looked at the 1,000 machine umbrella on the screen. After updating his skills, Ziyou immersed himself in the arena, winning and losing one game after another. However, his understanding of manipulating summoning objects is rapidly improving. You don't have to worry about the materials. Please send me the list of what you need, and I will do my best to get it done. Ziyou was still playing in the arena when Ye Xiu, who had not spoken for 10 minutes, suddenly spoke up. Do you have any bold ideas to do? Don't leave any regrets, Glory. Don't leave any regrets. Ziyou stopped his operation, and the glittering words of glory on the screen conveyed an invisible power. Ye Xiu+, when have you been so generous? You're not going to pick me, are you? On the other hand, I finally sank deeply. Stretching lazily, Ziyou spoke up. Don't worry, I'm here to help you win the championship. Isn't that simple? An hour later, at dawn, Ziyou left the bar with a disheveled face, leaving only one account card for the jingling dispatch general, which had been abused by Junmo's laughter for over 30 times in the arena. However, from being able to hold on for only 59 seconds under Ye Xiu's command at the beginning, to struggling for 3 minutes later, this progress speed surprised Ye Xiu. At least in his heart, this first team member has been found. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Ziyou woke up from bed, awakened by the sound of Ye Xiu waking up. This guy didn't know why his energy was so strong, he slept for 7 hours and was so energetic. Helplessly, since I was awakened, I can only get up. Seeing the two people downstairs, Chenguo told them that he was going to pick up a friend. Ziyou knew that this friend was Miss Tang Ro. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. PK Between Beginners. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 PK Between Beginners. As Ye Xiu walked straight towards the bar, Ziyou stopped him in 3 or 2 steps and said. I'm saying, big brother, don't you really think sleeping is all about glory? Ye Xiu was bewildered, and a hint of confusion appeared on his slightly fleshy face. Otherwise. Ziyou was speechless and pulled Ye Xiu towards the door. Ziyou grew up working from a young age, and his physical fitness was not average. Ye Xiu was like a chick and was dragged to a department store by Ziyou. I said, what are you bringing me here for? I don't have any money. My first month's salary hasn't been settled yet, and I can't raise 100 yuan now. Ye Xiu looked guarded, but was completely ignored by Ziyou. Thanks to my high reputation with my sister, I have advanced this month's salary for a total of 1,800 yuan. You said you were kicked out by Jiashi and didn't even bring a set of clothes. You wear this set every day, not afraid of smelling bad. Ye Xiu felt a bit embarrassed and raised his arm to smell the creaky nest, then frowned. Alright, stop smelling it. I don't have clothes either, so we should buy more sets of clothes. Besides, professional athletes don't have a strong physique, how can they support you to reach the peak? I've decided that starting tomorrow, 1 hour of exercise every day is essential, so it's even more important to change clothes. Look at you, you should learn more from Han Wenqing. Oh, do you still know Han Wenqing? Upon hearing this, Gu Ziyou was about to slap him in the face. I'm a beginner, not a fool. Get what you get, I'll listen to you. Ye Xiu compromised, but Gu Ziyou's next sentence made him explode. Today's expenses, when Sister Mucheng comes, I will ask her to go. As the saying goes, there is a head of injustice, and a head of debt. Gu Ziyou frowned and winked. Don't do it. So you'll tie it yourself. Ye Xiu was speechless and touched the precious cigarette box left in his pocket, feeling helpless. Afterwards, the two of them picked up cheap clothes at the department store and bought several sets, ultimately using half of Gu Ziyou's salary. Holding big and small bags on both sides, Gu Ziyou turned his head and said to Ye Xiu behind him. When did you meet Sister Mucheng? When mentioning Su Mucheng, Ye Xiu seemed to have an extra hint of panic, pretending to be calm and saying. Mucheng is Muqiu's younger sister, whom I met when Honor opened the server. Since Muqiu left, we have been together, so it can be said that we rely on each other until Mucheng entered the professional circle and became the best partner 4 times. Now, I have left Jiashi. You retired because of Sister Mucheng, right? Ye Xiu took out his cigarette box from his pocket, shook it, and found it was gone. He stuffed the cigarette box back in. Yeah, if I transfer, it's almost impossible for her to follow suit. After all, don't you still want to keep Sister Mucheng by your side? Gu Ziyou pursed her lips and looked up at the towering Jiashi building. Don't talk nonsense. I don't have that kind of relationship with Mucheng. I just treat her like a younger sister and help Muqiu take care of her. Ah, yes. As a younger sister, I'm afraid Mucheng doesn't think so. She's the best partner of 4 years. With Mucheng's talent, she can make greater achievements in combat ability, but she focuses on attacking and assisting. Otherwise, in my opinion, it's still unclear who the first female player in this league is. After speaking, regardless of Ye Xiu's feelings, he quickly walked towards Xingxin Internet Cafe. As soon as I entered the door, I saw a group of staff from the Internet Cafe forming a circle, exposing a pink suitcase outside. Chenghua saw Gu Ziyou and Ye Xiu walking in from outside and introduced them to the girl beside him. Xiao Tang, come on, let me introduce you. Waving his hand at Gu Ziyou, the latter walked up in 3 or 2 steps. Ziyou, this is sister's good friend, the beautiful Tang Rou. Xiao Tang, his name is Gu Ziyou. He is my newly recognized younger brother and currently works as a night shift internet manager in an internet cafe. Gu Ziyou looked at Tang Rou and said that she was a beautiful woman, which was not an exaggeration. Her facial features were very delicate, and her figure was well maintained. Most importantly, the elegant atmosphere that emanated from her body, intentionally or unintentionally, was very attractive. Hello, Gu Ziyou. Gu Ziyou reached out his hand and shook hands with Tang Rou, shaking hands with the opposite sex with half of them. This is etiquette. Tang Rou. Almost in an instant, Gu Ziyou released his hand. Sister, I'll put the things back first. Chenghua smacked his lips when he saw Gu Ziyou and Ye Xiu making big and small packages. Oh, why did you ask for your salary in advance? It's not bad, it's good. Being clean is a good thing. Go ahead. After Chenghua introduced Tang Rou and Ye Xiu to each other, Gu Ziyou and Ye Xiu took their clothes back to the room. Ziyou, your account card. There's a TV drama today, so I didn't play much, only got promoted 1 level. Xiao Lu handed the account card back to Gu Ziyou. It's okay, Sister Lu. Even if you don't play at all, it's okay. Humph, this is the watch my younger brother bought for you. I've been reading it to you for several days. Gu Ziyou handed a box to Xiao Lu. After all, they help you level up every day, so it's impossible to trap a white wolf empty-handed, right? Wow. This is too expensive, it will cost a lot of money, won't it? Not much, you can help me level up, that's the cost of contemporary combat. Ziyou dislikes owing favors to others the most, and his account cannot be ignored. This is the best way he can think of. Suddenly, Ziyou was pulled over by Chenguo. Ziyou, come and PK Xiaotang. Hurry up, hurry up. Chenguo acted in a free and unrestrained manner. Upon hearing this, Ye Xiu, who had just come downstairs, was surprised and said, "Does Xiaotang also play with honor?" "No, I won't play." Upon hearing Tang Rou's words, Chenguo was very unhappy. "You can't play, so what's wrong with me? You really know how to play, I don't." Ye Xiu was confused and interrupted. "What situation, who can play and who can't?" Chenguo also noticed that they couldn't get around clearly here, so he pulled Ziyou and pointed to the computer in front of him. "Xiaotang is our top expert in internet cafes. You two can compete against each other. If you can't, you can switch to Ye Xiu." Tang Rou became interested and asked, "Is Ziyou very powerful?" Ziyou sat down first without any hesitation, borrowed an account card from Xiao Lu, inserted the login device, and logged into Honor. "I'm not very good, I only played Glory for 3 days, it's very frustrating." Under Chenguo's push, Tang Rou also sat in front of a computer and logged in to Chenguo's Yunxiu account. Ziyou raised her eyebrows and asked Tang Rou, "No account card. Why don't you want to play Honor?" Little did they know that Ziyou himself did not have an account card. After a moment of silence, Tang Rou spoke up. "I just think it's too simple." Upon hearing this, Ziyou lifted the corners of his mouth as if he had succeeded, and his gaze turned to see Ye Xiu's sudden silence. Free field, room number 3456. Free field. Ziyou, sister's account is much better equipped than Xiaoyou's account. Do you want to open a correction field? Chenguo kindly reminded, and Ziyou smiled confidently. "No need, a free field is enough." Map. The battlefield is the smallest map of all Glory, usually used for pure technical skills, with only one open space and a few pillars, and no other obstacles. Ye Xiu did not take a first glance at Ziyou, but instead walked behind Tang Rou and stood next to Chenguo. "I love work. Holding a staff in my hand, I walk to the back of the pillar as soon as possible, in the blind spot of my sight. Almost just now, in a position where the smoke and mist could not be seen, a bright light appeared on the staff and the formation appeared. Summon the Ice Wolf. I found this position pretty well, at least I picked up 2 seconds of singing time for nothing." Chasing Yunxiu, the movement was not slow, with the handgun muzzle facing the ground. Bang! With recoil, it flew into the air and climbed up to the pillar. Occupying the high ground is the first choice for most gunners. Chasing smoke and mist, the light in the hand shines, and heavy firepower suppresses it, enhancing all the damage caused by holding a handgun and expanding the range of damage. Cannon. Ziyou was wearing headphones and his left hand was moving rapidly. As the cannon flew towards I Love Work, he wanted to use range attacks to cause damage when the summoned Ice Wolf moved. The Ice Wolf ran out from behind the pillar and took a deep leap, blocking the incoming cannon with its body. The smoke dissipated, and the Ice Wolf's chi and blood were reduced by 1/3. The figure of I Love Work also walked out from behind the pillar, swaggering. At this moment, above his head, a blood-red figure flapped its wings, striking a small flying dragon. What situation and how did he do it? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Tang Rou's Cruelty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Tang Rou's Cruelty. Tang Rou's hand speed was also very fast, even surpassing Ziyou at this moment. Although Ye Xiu knew that Ziyou had not even started to increase her hand speed, Tang Rou's hand speed was already very fast. Whip. Summoning Beast Enhancement. Little Flying Dragon and Ice Wolf light up their health, increasing their speed and enhancing their overall attributes. I love work. I started singing again, and a yellow magic formation lit up, with a flicker of lightning passing by. Ye Xiu fell silent, and the summoner's dual-line operation was already at the top level of the expert. The basic third-line operation is the entry-level for professional summoners, while the fourth-line operation, although some people can do it, is very rough, and summoning beasts cannot persist until 4 exist at the same time, often dying halfway. At this moment, the yellow magic formation that lights up is undoubtedly another summoning formation. The Thunder Eagle summoning formation. Ziyou is thinking of a 3-line operation. Tang Rou didn't know what to call or not call. She raised her handgun and the muzzle emitted a white light. Laser cannon. This came very suddenly, with a fast hand speed, but it was all as expected by Ziyou. Still manipulating the Ice Wolf to resist this attack. The little flying dragon flapped its wings and quickly flew towards, chasing mist and mist. The ice armor on the Ice Wolf is shattered, emitting cold air. The advantages of the Ice Wolf are fast speed, strong defense, and strong self-healing ability. At this moment, the health of the Ice Wolf is slowly recovering. Seeing that she couldn't attack, I love work, no matter what, chasing Yunxiu, turned her gaze towards the little flying dragon that was already very close to her. Anti-tank gun. Tang Rou did not notice that the recoil of the laser gun and anti-tank gun had already sent Yunxiu to the edge of the pillar. Just as the anti-tank gun flew out of the muzzle, it was intercepted by a fireball and exploded in the air. Its little flying dragon skill. Fireball. The figure of Lei Ying emerged, leaving a trail of shadows rushing towards chasing the misty clouds. The oppressive feeling of the 3 figures made Tang Rou feel a bit panicked. She panicked and clicked on her skill, but the next shot came out, and an accident appeared. Another round of recoil caused the chasing mist at the edge to step out and fall towards the ground. Ice Wolf Can ran to the spot where she was about to fall, and Ziyou raised the corner of her mouth and said, "Tang Mimi, it's time to end." Ah! Tang Rou quickly checked, but chasing smoke and mist was still almost full of blood, with only a slight drop of blood from being blown up by a fireball just now. But Ziyou just said the game is over. "Don't worry about him, Xiao Tang. He looks like he's scaring you. You're still full of blood, and he's just a summoner. It's impossible to kill you in a second." I love work raised the staff in his hand, and a magic formation appeared at the feet of both Ice Wolf and I love work. With a flash of light, Ice Wolf appeared in Ziyou's original position, while a figure stood in front of Ice Wolf. Summoner level 35 skill. Change position. Exchange positions between summoners and designated summoners. Tang Rou's perspective of falling suddenly caught sight of Ziyou, feeling a sense of unease. Thorny Vine. Not yet landing, chasing mist, takes off again. In the air, Thunderhawk rushed forward, covered in lightning. Ziyou also took advantage of the situation to output. Whip. This summoner level 20 skill can be used not only on summoning objects, but also on enemy units, causing damage. During this period, Ziyou and Lei Ying caused at least 3 rounds of output, and with the occasional small damage added by I love work, this damage is really not low. When Yunxiu truly landed, with only 40% health left, Yunxiu stood up and wielded his cannon to continue attacking. Almost at the moment of releasing the skill, the perspective of chasing smoke and mist increased, and a flower with an exaggerated shape appeared under my feet. The flower of the demon realm. A lightning ball in the beak of the Thunder Eagle exploded in the moment it hit, chasing mist and mist, transforming into a lightning giant net, binding it. The branches and leaves of the flower of the demon realm were crazily biting at the chasing mist, and its health rapidly dropped. I Love Work walked over casually, holding up the staff in his hand. Bang! Chasing missed and missed, 0 health, total time 2 minutes and 58 seconds. Glory! Tang Rou stared at the dim screen and clenched her right hand tightly. Ziyou stretched lazily and pulled out his account card from the login device. Can we have another round? Ziyou waved his hand and pointed to Ye Xiu, saying. I deal with countless things every day, and time is precious. You can find him. Tang Rou looked at Ye Xiu with questioning in her eyes. Don't doubt it, this old guy only takes 59 seconds to hit me. Upon hearing this, Tang Rou's gaze remained firm, Chenguo remained stunned, while Ye Xiu's face remained speechless. Ye Xiu. Big brother, I hit you for 59 seconds 3 days ago, okay. Now 59 seconds, I can't finish playing. Now Ziyou, when it comes to defeating Ye Xiu, the winning rate is definitely 100%. That's right, Ye Xiu is 10. Patting Ye Xiu's shoulder, Ziyou handed over I Love Work to Xiao Lu, and in the admiration of the people around him, walked back to the bar and opened his old notebook. Ziyou faintly heard Ye Xiu's bet, and as for what exactly happened, Ziyou didn't need to guess. However, this is not his business anymore, he is calculating and sketching in the notebook. How's the progress going? Ye Xiu walked over and sat next to Ziyou, holding several 100 yuan bills and placing them next to Ziyou's notebook. What is this? I just earned it from a PK match, and I'll pay you back for the clothes you bought today. Do you really want to repay me the money or don't you want me to go find Sister Mucheng? You speak louder and let them all know. Ziyou put those 100 yuan bills into his pocket and said disdainfully. I'll ask Sister Mucheng to get 100% interest. Yi Bu, who has always been calm and dark, has nothing to do with Ziyou. He knows that with 100% interest, there is 200%, after all, the intention of the drunken man is not to drink, and he cares about those who report to Su Mucheng. Then you give me back the money, I still don't have money to buy cigarettes. No. How can the money that flies into your pocket be voluntarily handed over? Ye Xiu had no choice but to take care of Ziyou despite having a stomach full of bad water. This guy was a good baby from the beginning, but after getting to know him well, he was even darker than Ye Bushi. How's your weapon doing? The amount of work is very large. Ziyou let out a heavy breath. How big is it? I want every centimeter, even every millimeter, of my weapon to be like a complete 1000-machine umbrella. The main body is a stick, which can be transformed into a gunner's handgun, a tactical spear, or a swordsman's giant sword after various devices are extended and deformed. Ziyou's tone was casual, but the listener Ye Xiu was completely bewildered. He knows and understands the precision and design of Qianji umbrella. Even if Qianji umbrella can deform, it still deforms in the main structure of the umbrella. Ideas like Ziyou's can only be realized in science fiction novels and movies. Can you create the list of materials you provided? Yes, but it can only be done as a main body in basic deformation. However, I need to experiment with all of these. Do you need an account in the realm of God? I have some old acquaintances who can buy some materials at a low price. No need, there should be enough scrap metal in the old lady's account. I don't need to finish the whole thing now, just temporarily change the summoner's mechanism, and I can go with you to brush the dungeon records. The two of them were communicating, and Chenguo walked over with his account card and handed it to Ziyou. It seemed that today's operation had shocked her, and he was exceptionally proactive in submitting the card. Thank you, sister. Chenguo is lying on the bar. You two have dealt a blow to Xiao Tang today. As the conversation changed, Chenguo lowered his voice and continued. But Xiao Tang finally made up his mind to fight for glory. Woohoo! Oh. That's all thanks to Ye Bushyness. Ye Xiu shook his head. Come on, I've been playing Glory for 10 years, and you've been playing for 3 days. I see you've dealt her a bigger blow than me. Although Ye Xiu has won Xiao Tang so much money, Xiao Tang's current goal is not Ye Xiu, but Xiao Yuzi, who is clamoring to defeat you. Ziyou was puzzled and smiled slightly. Then you can make her hurry up. After 2 days when my silver martial arts are done, she will have no chance at all. Yinwu. Didn't you just play honor for 3 days? You'll be able to do Yinwu now. Just take the scrap metal from my account. I saw your test item 1, and its attributes are very garbage. You'll know then. Let's show you what honor's first silver martial arts are. Ziyou Swan is ambitious and full of energy. However, what's wrong? Before that, I need to trouble the old lady to help me practice leveling. Chenguo. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Su Mucheng, Chu Yunxiu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Su Mucheng, Chu Yunxiu, why can't we just do it? Ziyou was feeling depressed. He had tried several permutations and combinations, but the final step of assembling was still impossible to complete. At this moment, Experiment 2 can switch between the 4 forms of stick, staff, shaft sword, and spear, but it is only in the imagination that the steps of assembling various small structures are stuck. The principle of this is very simple, each device plays its own role and has an independent deformation structure. This deformation is very simple, so it is not difficult to make. It's just that we need to assemble various small devices together, no matter what, Ziyou can't do it. However, soon Ziyou also identified the reason. The lack of powerful magical materials. Glory Continent is a world where magic and technology coexist. Previously, Ziyou only thought about how to achieve his goals through deformation, without considering magical materials. The materials used were only metals from the Chenguo warehouse. I need a strong central axis now. Ziyou thought to himself and opened the web page to search for rare materials in honor, ultimately locking in his current best goal. Blood Knight Pendant. Blood Gunslinger Yage, I remember there was one on the day Tang Ro came. Thinking of this, Ziyou secreted adrenaline and her face turned red. Yibu Shyness, Blood Knight Pendant, urgently needed. Ye Xiu was puzzled and took off his earphones, saying, "Isn't that a hidden drop from the Blood Gunslinger? It's still a useless decoration, let alone a hidden boss that doesn't come easily." After speaking, Ye Xiu turned his head to look at his friend's message and instantly widened his eyes. Damn it, you guys said you wanted a pendant, and the Blood Gunslinger just brushed it off. You're not a GM, are you? Ziyou ignored Ye Xiu's final words and recited according to the strategy. In the background of the story, Bloodgunner Yage's rampage relies on the power of the Blood Knight pendant, but one rampage will not explode. Bloodgunner Yage needs to rampage twice to fully absorb the power of the Blood Knight pendant. Double rampage. Why haven't I heard of it? Returning textbooks, how long have you been away from playing online games? Don't you know about the Bloodgunner Bloody Knight pendant? Don't be stingy, are you in a begging attitude? Speak up quickly. The first rampage requires 200 combos, while the second rampage requires the Blood Gunslinger to bleed, be poisoned, weak, and perform 500 combos simultaneously. This is a hidden Easter egg added to Honor's 7th district, but basically no one will bother to do a second rampage just to explode a Blood Knight pendant and a few irrelevant equipment. Many professional players have tried it, but basically no one can complete it. Ye Xiu was a little silent, which undoubtedly upset his plan and kept roast. 500 combos. I'm afraid I might accidentally kill him. The Blood Gunslinger has a strong blood-sucking ability, and you can take advantage of it, but be careful not to let the boss have red blood before the second rampage. Otherwise, all previous efforts will be wasted. Upon hearing this, Ye Xiu's expression became solemn, pondering what he should do. His original plan was to use the 3 major unions to restrain each other, and then secretly brushed the boss himself, which would at least triple the difficulty. However, for Ye Xiu, the difficulty level of these is not too outrageous. After all, he is currently playing as a solo player with 120 skills. The small skills have fast cooldowns, low damage, and extremely effective combos, not to mention the negative effects. With the idea of adding magical materials, Ziyou's mind became even more lively. She searched online for the properties and characteristics of rare materials, drew pictures in her notebook, and kept an eye on Ye Bai's movements. Ye Xiu+summoner+technical changed his original idea and pulled the boss away from the encirclement of the three major unions from the beginning. The three major unions naturally did not want Yunxiu to pull the boss away like this, and were preparing to pursue him. The next second, a gunshot sounded, coming from the direction of Tang. 3 anti-tank guns flew out and headed straight towards the position of the powerful and majestic map. EP1-10 said, "Are you looking for death in Yunxiu Tang? Cheqianzi, what do you mean by this? Che Qianzi. Don't misunderstand, I don't know what's going on either." The two branch chiefs argued, and another green machine gun swept towards the direction of Blue Creek Pavilion. Suddenly, another figure holding a staff raised its staff, and 2 fireballs, combined with the green machine gun in full swing, instantly shot down a priest from Blue Creek Pavilion. This figure was clearly a female elemental mage. Blue River. Cheqianzi. TMD, spend the night in the cold pool. Let's take down the Yunxiu Hall first, and then divide the boss without delay. Night in the cold pool. I have this intention. The original intention of the 3 guilds was to quickly end the constraints imposed by the 3 guilds. At least 2 guilds competing for bosses can increase the probability and reduce risks. This seems to be the initiative of the Tang to initiate trouble, and both families have taken advantage of it. At this moment, only he and another rogue named Baozi Invasion are left in the Yunxiu team, and the combo has reached 132. No one interfered, this combo stack of Ye Xiu was exceptionally easy. In no time, 2 figures came from afar, one holding a cannon and the other holding a staff. Oh, 2 girls, are they here to grab our boss? Baozi invades without changing lanes. It's my own person. After finishing speaking, Ye Xiu sent 3 team invitations in a row, 2 for the 2 female players in front of him, and the other for the late arrival of Su Ling to send generals. As soon as he joined the team, Ziyou was attracted to 2 female players, not because he was addicted to sex, but because one of them had a nickname. I saw the gunner between the 2 wearing a wind comb smoke bath on his head, and the elemental mage wearing a desire for rain to bloom smoke on his head. Clouds are green and eager for rain, while water is pure and desolate, emitting smoke. Ziyou finally murmured, guessing the identity of this elemental mage. As for Feng Shuyanmu, you don't have to guess, he is the chief gunner of the alliance, Ye Bushi's old partner, and Su Mucheng, the sister of Umbrella Brother. Why do these girls like to bring a cigarette when they give a name? Chasing the misty clouds, the gentle cold smoke, the wind combing the smoke, the desire for rain to produce smoke, and the solitary smoke of the desert. Ziyou didn't turn off the microphone, and what he said at this moment truly fell into the ears of everyone present. Puff. It was obvious that Ye Xiu next to him sprayed out a mouthful of air, smiled and bent over, almost missing the combo. Other people besides Baozi laughed out loud without restraint. Little Pomelo, almost your blood knight pendant is gone. Upon hearing this, everyone finally put their smiles away and focused their attention on the blood gunman Yage. Isn't it? Just for a decoration, the bloody knight pendant, you all rushed to call me over. I still have several TV dramas to watch. The sound sounded from the direction of desire for rain and smoke. The sound was crisp and soft, making it sound very comfortable, but with a hint of authority from the superior. Yunxiu, can you do me a favor? Next time, I'll accompany you shopping. You can browse as long as you want. Feng Shuyanmu spoke and, knowing her true identity in advance, Ziyou immediately guessed her true identity. Yunxiu, the first female player in the alliance, the captain of the Yinwu team, and Mucheng's good friend. This is what you said. Next time, accompany me instead of following someone. Yes, yes, yes. I'll be with you. I'm sure I'll be with you, let's quickly fight the boss. Ye Xiu knew that Ziyou had probably guessed their identities. However, I didn't mind either. As a professional player in the future, I will eventually get to know each other. The five of them were pulling monsters towards the distance while brushing damage, while Ziyou controlled Goblin and kept hitting Ye's gun, causing him to occasionally regain his health. Oh, who is the summoner in this team? The operation is not bad. It's very precise. To rain and smoke, hit a few energy balls and praise them. Oh, my current colleague, good friend. Being friends with you may be tiring, right? To make fun of the rain and smoke, Ziyou said in a tearful tone. It's really quite difficult, this guy is too dark. Don't pretend here. If it weren't for giving you the bloody knight pendant, this guy would have died a long time ago. As for how tired I am. Didn't I promise to help you get 1,000 machine umbrella? Upon hearing this, Mucheng, who had been silent for a long time, spoke up to Mucheng. How long have you been playing honor, Captain Ling? 3 days. Mucheng fell silent, and of course Ye Xiu knew what Mucheng was worried about. Don't worry, anyway, there are records of the 1,000 machine umbrella Mucheng before level 50. This guy's blood fighting knight pendant just wants to do silver martial arts. You can wait until he finishes and see the finished product. Don't worry, Sister Mucheng. Mucheng's works, whether they are about dispelling evil or swallowing the sun, have now reached the pinnacle of glory, and Qianji umbrella is no exception. Seeing that Ziyou had guessed his identity, Mucheng, who was sitting in the dormitory of Jiashi building, first looked at Jun Maxiao, who was fighting monsters. In her heart, she had already regarded Ziyou as a core member of Ye Xiu's future plan, and she was relieved. I'm thinking about whether we should write the female lead in Full-Time Master. Binding the Spirit and Sending the General. Anyway, at least the love story between Ye Xiu and Mucheng must be written by the scholar, and Jesus can't stop me from saying it. As for Ziyou's spouse, I have 2 candidates, one is Yunxiu and the other is Tang. In the scholar's imagination, there will definitely be problems after the Yinwu battle team. After all, Ye Xiu and Yunxiu's experiences are very similar, both controlled by upper-class capital. Therefore, I plan to poach Yunxiu to Xingxin. As for Tang, as the elder of Xingxin, I think she is the best inheritor of Doshin's fighting style, and her identity and background also add a layer of mystery to her. I think these 2 women are the most distinctive female characters written in the entire book, apart from the landlady and Mucheng. If you have any suggestions or opinions, you can leave them in the comments section, and I will definitely learn from them. I hope everyone can support the scholars and support Full-Time Expert. Lingji Dispatch General. End of this chapter.